What's going on, guys? So we're trying to make some videos out here talking about topics from folks who don't really work in the RV space very often. And David had a really good question related to the components that you see on different RVs. Specifically, when we were at Alliance, he saw a lot of mixtures of Curt products mixed with a few Moride products, mixed with a few other things. And he was asking, you know, how do they spec all that out? So I wanted to kind of give some folks kind of a deep dive, backroom look into how the RV manufacturing world works. So this is gonna be a fun video. Hang tight, I'll be right back. So David, you had a good question. You wanna go ahead and repeat it?
Yeah, when we're looking at the RVs, you'll see different components, you know, on the interior and exterior, and a lot of times with the same manufacturer, you'll see some of the RVs will have like Moride stuff, others will have Curt, and I was just trying to figure out how that whole process works of how they determine which parts they're going to use on each RV.
And that's an absolutely great question, because I think people often want to know. So first and foremost, what I explained was that when an RV manufacturer specs out a frame for a floor plan, they're working with the chassis division at Lippert, or whoever they're getting their frame from, whether it's BAL, whether it's Lippert, whoever makes it. The chassis division kind of a la cartes everything on the frame. They say, okay, well, we will engineer the frame to the size and weight of floor plan that you have. We have recommendations on things that we would recommend. If you have your own engineered specifications and you provide them to us, we will build the frame the way you as a manufacturer want us to build the frame for you. But then at the same time, if you need engineering assistance, all of this stuff, we can assist with that. Now, they can even design it completely for you if you say, we want to leave it up to you, this is what we need it to be able to do, this is where we need slides to work, all of that stuff. But when you're working with the chassis division, they're going to sell you a frame. The frame is essentially going to be the structure that holds together the sidewalls and the roof, and everything kind of mounts on top of it. If you want extra outriggers, it's a la carte. You pay for that. If you want upgraded suspension hangers, a la carte, you pay for that. If you want a special mounting location for a drawer, or for maybe a ground anchor for windstorm, things like that, you pay for that. You tell them, this is what we want engineered in here, this is what we want. But you buy a frame. That's all you're buying. You're not buying the axles, you're not buying the wheels or tires, you're not buying the suspension, you're not buying the pin box. All of that stuff is completely a la carte. So you get a stack of frames in. Right? You're going to have a stack of frames that come into you that will have no running gear on them. They'll have no suspension hangers. They'll have no leaf springs. They'll have nothing on them. And at that point, you have to make a determination on who you're going to work with next. So, of course, you're going to have folks from Curt that come by your office. You're going to have folks from Moride that come by your office, sales reps, account executives that go out in the field to try to sell components to RV manufacturers. And they're going to put together packages. But more importantly, it's not all really based on price. They're going to put together packages based on features that they think will benefit your brand. Luxury features, if you're trying to hit a certain price point. To give you an idea, Lippert has like, I don't know the exact number, but I believe it's like 6 different entry-exit doors, and they're all of different qualities, they're all of different price ranges, they're all designed for different applications, and you have to pick the right one for your specific RV. So when it comes to things like suspension, springs, axles, brakes, your front pin box, it really comes down to a manufacturer saying, I'm going with this specific one for this specific reason, or because they're giving me everything I'm asking for at the price that I'm looking for. So, for instance, the other manufacturer that we looked at earlier, they were running the new Curt Helix suspension pin box. They're running Curt semi-independent touring suspension, which is really, really cool. Coil sprung, shock absorbed suspension. And it's a really, really good looking system. It works well. There, of course, you know, when talking to Curt, Curt's gonna be like, this is why you should use the two together. They help each other, they complement each other. So this other manufacturer, RV manufacturer, opted to go with Curt. For instance, with Grand Design and a number of other manufacturers, they may elect to go with Moride, because the Moride rep came around and they said, you know what, we can offer you the Cree 3000 suspension with the Moride rubber pin box. We can put the package together, call it a performance package, and you will have a really good shock absorbing front hitch with a really, really good equalization system, and this is the price that we can get it to you for. Now, do you want heavy duty shackle straps? Do you want the thin one? Do you want grease bolts, greasable wet bolts? What all do you want to go along with that. And then they can either a la carte that, they can negotiate the price based on what a manufacturer wants. They may say, I want the Cree 3000 suspension, but I want the standard shackle straps, because I believe by upgrading the suspension, I'm doing enough shock absorption that the shackle straps won't wear out. So I don't need the heavy duty shackle straps. They may come up with these reasons as to why they want a certain type of component changed out for another. But it ultimately comes down to the fact that the RV manufacturer picks the components that they want on the RV, and they add it the way they want to add it. If they don't want to go with Moride, they could go with Kurt. And trust me, I guarantee you, the folks at Kurt are trying to win Grand Design's business to switch to the Helix and to switch to the independent suspension. I guarantee you that the folks at Moride are trying to get certain models of Solitude to come with their independent suspension. I guarantee you that there's constantly these conversations that are happening to try to either get a manufacturer to upgrade, to stay with a certain component, or to move to another component. There's a lot of competition when it comes to components on RVs, and to get that OEM business is a big deal. To basically say Moride is working with Grand Design exclusively for the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to be putting rubber pin boxes, Cree 3000, or the LRE 4000. We're going to be putting this suspension on these RVs. That's a big deal for them. So a lot of times I can imagine, I don't know this part of it, how long-term those agreements are, but I can almost guarantee there is an agreement in place for them to use that product for a period of time, and they get to pick what that product is. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and that's probably the same for appliances, air conditioning units, things like that, because for a while, like Brinkley had kind of exclusivity on the new Furrion Chill Cube inverter style super quiet air conditioning. You couldn't put it on anything else, and they were pretty much putting it on everything. But now you're starting to see other manufacturers who are gaining access to that air conditioning unit. Right? Any other questions?
No, I think that covers it. I think it's interesting when you just see line to line, even under Grand Design, you'll see Kurt and Moride and some of the other brands all mixed in there. So it seems like these negotiations are happening at every single level, not just at the manufacturer.
And I can imagine part of that is, again, based on a contract to say, okay, so hypothetically, I don't know this because I'm not in the boardroom at Grand Design, but I'm going to say, let's just presume that they're like, okay, we're going to sign a certain number of year exclusivity to work with Moride for their rubber pin box and their Cree 3000 suspension. And they have something there signed. And then they're like, you know what, let's try out their steps for a certain amount of time. So we're going to go with the the Moride step above steps. And there's no contractual term tied to that. So then Lippert comes in and says, well, we have the solid step and we can swap you out there. So then all of a sudden you're seeing solid steps put on, but the Moride components are still staying on as well. I think it's very, very much based on individual components or certain packages that are being purchased together. I don't think they go in here and say, okay, I want the safety rail, I want the step above steps, I want the Cree 3000, and then I want the pin box. Because, for instance, the axles on here are likely going to be Lippert axles, right? So they have the ability to change what they want to change. I just don't know how long those terms last, that they stick with one product, or perhaps they stick with one product because they've noticed a performance difference. I like this product. It may cost more, it may cost less, but we have fewer warranty claims because this product doesn't fail as much. This product just performs better under the types of uses our customers are using it under. Or they track warranty claim issues as well. How many warranty claims are we getting on a failed rubber pin box? Well, I get none. Well, if I have a goose box, or if I have an executive hitch, or if I have any of these other ones, how many warranty claims would I get if I had that? These are all things that I'm sure that they track as well. All right, answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Answered my question.
Thank you. Not a problem at all. I thought it was a really good question, and it's one that I'm sure a lot of people ask. Like, why is there such a mixture of brands and components when it might make sense from a buying power perspective just to go with one brand for everything, right? Anyways, I sure hope this answered the question you had. If you all had it as well. AJ, you happy?
Oh, yeah.
Don't want to make this guy mad. Yep. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.